Ladies and gentlemen, take a slow breath and pause with me for a moment. What we're discussing today is important, not because of rumors or dramatic headlines, but because it needs to be understood clearly, logically, and without emotional pressure. Right now, social media and video platforms are flooded with bold headlines claiming things like U.S. Treasury confirms Iraqi Dinar final phase now live. These phrases are powerful by design. They trigger excitement, urgency, hope, and sometimes fear. That reaction is natural. Headlines are created to pull attention, not to provide full context. They are meant to spark emotion, not protect your financial decisions. That's why here on Dinar Update, we slow everything down. We remove the hype, strip away speculation, and look calmly at what is actually happening, what is not happening, and how you can stay informed without becoming vulnerable to false information. Let me be very clear from the beginning. This is not a channel that sells dreams. We do not promise secret timelines, hidden exchange rates, or overnight wealth. Instead, we focus on understanding real-world financial systems, how banks operate, how currency policies evolve, and how legitimate financial change actually unfolds. Because in situations like this, the people who suffer losses are not the uninformed, they are the emotionally driven. Our mission here is clarity, not chaos. Now, we must address a critical reality. Major international banking institutions, J.P. Morgan Chase, Citibank, Wells Fargo, HSBC, do not function by distributing secret insider information. They do not have employees quietly calling select individuals with private exchange appointments, exclusive rates, or early access lists. That is simply not how regulated banking works. If anyone claims they have a special bank contact offering private treatment, that is a scam every single time. Real banks are conservative, tightly regulated, and legally bound to strict compliance rules. Sensitive information moves through compliance departments and official public channels, not whispered phone calls or private messages. When people talk about inside banking information, what they usually misunderstand is how banks signal preparation internally. Genuine banking signals are subtle and often boring. They do not arrive with excitement or urgency. Instead, they appear as small operational adjustments, updates in internal software, revised employee scripts, modified compliance language, shifts in risk classifications, or new handling instructions for specific currencies. These changes are not public announcements, but they are noticed by professionals who understand how banking operations evolve. True preparation in financial systems is quiet, deliberate, and controlled. Now let's focus specifically on the Iraqi dinar. For many years, responses from U.S. banks regarding the IQD were firm and dismissive. Customers were told, "We do not handle that currency. It is not supported. We cannot assist." End of conversation. No nuance, no flexibility. That language reflected complete disinterest and a perception of high risk. Recently, however, something subtle has shifted, and in banking, subtle changes matter. The tone has not shifted to excitement or approval, but to neutrality and caution. Instead of hearing, "we cannot," customers increasingly hear phrases like, "we do not currently offer that service," or "not at this time." This may sound like a small difference, but in financial systems, wording is everything. Cannot represents a permanent wall. Currently do not represents a temporary position, leaving room for future change. Banks choose their words with legal precision. Every sentence employees speak is reviewed, approved, and scripted for regulatory consistency. At the same time, internal banking systems classify currencies into categories such as active, inactive, restricted, or under review. When a currency shifts from one category to another, it doesn't make public headlines, but it triggers internal attention. Staff receive updated guidance, compliance departments adjust procedures, risk models are recalibrated. And here's the key point. Banks do not spend money preparing for currencies they believe have no future relevance. Training costs money, system updates cost money, compliance testing costs money. Financial institutions do not invest resources without reason. Preparation does not mean activation. Preparation does not mean revaluation tomorrow. But preparation does mean reassessment, and reassessment is always the first step before any financial action. Now, let's step back and look at the broader picture. Iraq has been undergoing long-term economic and banking reform for several years. This includes modernization of financial infrastructure, anti-corruption enforcement, improved regulatory alignment, and gradual integration into international financial networks. This process is slow and methodical, not dramatic, but it is real. Global financial institutions monitor these developments because they directly affect risk exposure, compliance requirements, and future currency handling policies. What we are observing now aligns with careful observation, not hype. And I want to repeat this clearly. No major bank is offering secret exchange rates. No major bank is scheduling private redemption appointments. Anyone claiming otherwise is misleading you. The real story is not dramatic, it is subtle. Less dismissal, more neutrality. That is the shift. Banks operate on mathematical risk assessment, not emotion. They do not chase rumors, they calculate probabilities. If the Iraqi dinar were viewed as permanently irrelevant, banks would continue ignoring it completely. But when internal language softens, classifications adjust, and systems prepare, it signals that risk perception is being reevaluated. That does not guarantee profit, it does not guarantee timing, it does not guarantee outcomes. It guarantees attention, and attention is new. Another important layer is employee training. Banks continuously update internal scripts that define exactly what frontline staff can and cannot say. Even minor script changes reflect preparation without commitment. Financial institutions prepare multiple future scenarios simultaneously. They never promise outcomes, they prepare contingencies. Now let's talk about the emotional side, because this is where costly mistakes happen. When people hear phrases like final phase or now live, imagination takes over. Numbers are calculated, lifestyle changes are envisioned. That reaction is human, but dangerous. Real financial change does not occur emotionally. It happens through documentation, compliance verification, identity checks, scheduled appointments, taxation procedures, and regulatory oversight. Anyone claiming otherwise is selling fantasy. If a revaluation ever occurs, it will not be chaotic. Banks hate chaos. Everything will be structured, documented, controlled, and audited. That protects the system and it protects you. One critical factor many overlook is source of funds verification. Banks will ask where your currency came from, when it was acquired, and how it was obtained. This is not personal, it is regulatory compliance. If you hold IQD, maintaining purchase records is not optional, it is intelligent preparation. Now we must address scams, because whenever dramatic headlines appear, fraud increases. Fake emails, fake phone calls, fake bank insiders, fake exchange groups, fake websites. None of these are legitimate. Banks do not contact customers offering early access, private rates, or secret opportunities. Real developments are announced publicly, officially, and consistently across banks and regulatory institutions. You will never need a secret code or invitation. Here is a truth many investors need to hear. Even if the IQD value changes in the future, it will not instantly make everyone wealthy. Markets adjust, government controls exist, regulations apply. Expectations must remain realistic. The real advantage belongs to patience. Those who rush lose money. Those who prepare remain protected. So if you are holding Iraqi dinar, your role right now is simple. Keep it secure, keep documentation, stay calm, ignore urgency. Banks think in years, not days. What we are seeing now may be contingency preparation for future scenarios, not immediate action. Preparation does not equal activation, but preparation does equal attention, and attention is the shift. When people claim U.S. Treasury confirms final phase live, what they are really reacting to are subtle operational changes, internal banking language adjustments, software classifications, and risk monitoring refinements. None of this guarantees rates or timelines. It confirms observation and preparation. Picking up from this point, let's bring everything into clear perspective. My advice to you is simple, grounded, and realistic. Do not chase dramatic headlines. Do not trust anonymous insiders. Do not let excitement override common sense. Instead, watch what financial institutions do, not what social media personalities claim. If something legitimate happens, it will be announced officially, publicly, and consistently across banks and regulatory institutions. You will never need secret contacts, private groups, or coded messages. Until that moment arrives, the smartest position you can hold is awareness without emotion. You are not early, you are not late, you are observing, and observation is exactly where a prepared investor should be. Real financial movement is controlled, deliberate, and measured. Real banks do not hype, they do not leak, they do not promise, they prepare. Preparation is always the first step. That is why keeping your records organized, your expectations realistic, and your emotions steady is the most powerful strategy you have. Real opportunities never rush you, they never pressure you, they never demand instant action. Noise will continue,